I find Alex curled on the couch like a burrito of regret, clutching his phone and a half-empty tub of "I'll start Monday" ice cream. He looks exactly like someone who accidentally hit snooze on their goals and then celebrated with dairy. I'm here to point out, this is not the end of the world. It's the most ordinary, boringly human thing you'll see all week. I watch as Alex dramatically announces, "I ruined everything," as if his habit was a spaceship and he just fired a rocket into the sun. Spoiler, habits are not fragile rockets. They're more like houseplants. Sometimes they brown and droop and need water, not immediate arson. I let him have that melodrama for a beat, then pull him back into reality with a gentle reminder that lapses are pauses, not character verdicts. I tell Alex with the gravitas of someone who reads the headlines and also glances at the footnotes that lapses are statistically normal. Experience says almost everyone zigzags when building habits. He raises an eyebrow like he's waiting for me to add, "Also, the moon is cheese," but I stick to the science. Setbacks happen, and how you respond matters far more than the slip itself. He sighs, a tiny human deflation, and I can tell he's ready to hear the rest. I explain to Alex, like a coach who also happens to knit emotional band-aids, that compassionate self-talk repairs motivation faster than shame ever could. He mutters, "So no yelling at myself?" And I say, "Exactly, unless your yelling includes interpretive dance, which is an inefficient use of energy." He chuckles, and suddenly our little living room therapy session feels wearable and doable. I ask Alex for one tiny promise. Pause for 30 seconds before he reacts to a lapse, because the first reaction is usually dramatic and not helpful. He makes an exaggerated "I promise" face, which looks suspiciously like "I'll try later," but I let him commit anyway. It's a start. Then we both take a deep breath, like two people sharing the last slice of calm in the apartment. I tell Alex compassion isn't permission to slack off. It's a smarter tool for getting back on track without spiraling into moral defeat. He looks relieved and then mildly offended, like someone who thought kindness would be boring but found it suspiciously effective. We agree compassion plus clarity beats shame plus chaos every time, which, frankly, is a sentence I wish I could put on a motivational coffee mug. I teach Alex 3 compassionate phrases to replace the inner drill sergeant. "This was hard, I'm not alone," and "What can I do next?" He practices them like tongue twisters, like "This was hard, I'm not alone, what can I do next?" which somehow makes me giggle because it sounds like a motivational rap. He repeats each phrase slower, like he's flossing his brain, and I silently applaud the mini rehearsal. I point out the classic traps. "I always fail," "I'm lazy," and "I never will succeed," sentences that make people look like bad plot twists in their own story. Alex grimaces as if he can hear those phrases echoing like bad elevator music that won't stop. We make a game of replacing each black and white phrase with a compassionate alternative, and yes, Alex tries to rhyme them for dramatic effect. I remind Alex that tone, the gentle sound of our inner voice, has more power than the exact words. "So you slipped" said like a friend sounds very different to "you slipped" said like a judge. He practices switching tone like a radio dial, from static to calm station, and I narrate his attempts like a sports announcer who's inexplicably invested. It's silly, but tone actually changes how the brain interprets setbacks, which is delightfully useful. I give Alex a tiny science aside. Compassionate self-talk lowers stress hormones and opens up problem-solving brain regions. So yes, your brain literally thinks better when you're kinder to yourself. He looks impressed, like when someone tells him chocolate has antioxidants, both believable and motivating. Armed with that fact, he gives himself a nod that reads, "Okay, fine. Less yelling, more planning." I coach Alex to take a literal 30 seconds and breathe, because that tiny gap between reaction and response is the repair shop of the mind. He inhales like he's filling a balloon labeled better decisions, and then exhales with the tragic elegance of someone letting go of a week's worth of drama. We both count silently, proud of our ability to be boringly effective. I tell Alex to observe what happened like a curious scientist. I skipped my run without the prelude of shame. He scribbles the fact onto a sticky note, looking comically like a detective who suspects his own schedule. Noting things neutrally helps turn emotional fog into clear data, which is far less scary and more useful than blame. I guide Alex to name the feeling, maybe disappointment, tiredness, boredom, because putting a label on it deflates its power considerably. He murmurs disappointed, as if trying on a new cap, and then decides it fits without being fashionable. Naming feelings is like opening a window. Suddenly there's fresh air and fewer monsters in the corners. I coach him through a mini compassion script. This was hard. I'm allowed to be imperfect. What can I try next? He tries it, and it lands like a warm blanket, dramatic but effective, and he almost wants to take a selfie with the moment. Practicing phrases like this rewires the "I'll punish myself" response into a "let's repair" routine. I insist Alex choose one immediate small repair action. 20 push-ups may be heroic, but a brisk 10-minute walk or drinking a glass of water will do just fine. He debates theatrics versus pragmatism and picks the walk, which is honestly the sensible choice and also less sweaty. Tiny repairs are not symbolic virtue signaling. They're real behavior that nudges momentum back where you want it. I explained to Alex that micro-habits are like habit training wheels, small, manageable actions that build confidence without drama. He tries to be unimpressed, but his eyes betray a tiny spark of curiosity, because who doesn't love wins that don't require heroics? Micro-habits feel boring at first, and then suddenly you're a person who actually does stuff consistently, which is quietly thrilling. I teach Alex a simple phrase. If X happens, then I will the if, then plans that turn good intentions into executed actions. He practices it with goofy examples like, if I open the fridge and see cake, then I will eat 2 carrots instead. Comedic, but we refine it into something actually useful. The formula is deceptively powerful because it preloads decisions, so your future self doesn't have to argue with temptation. I suggest habit stacking. Attach a wanted habit to an existing one, like doing 2 minutes of stretching after brushing your teeth, which Alex thinks sounds like a life hack invented by toothbrush entrepreneurs. He enthusiastically and theatrically mimics stretching in front of a bathroom mirror, then pretends to forget and remembers again with comics timing. These tiny chains build resilience because momentum is easier to carry when it has friends. I watch Alex move temptations out of sight. The cookies go in the cupboard on the top shelf, the running shoes get visible by the door, and he makes a note like a general reorganizing his troops. He looks proud of this minor domestic victory, as if he set a cunning trap for his future snack-seeking self. Changing your environment is like moving the chess pieces so your willpower doesn't have to play blindfolded. I nudge Alex to use identity cues. I am the kind of person who, followed by a tiny behavior, because identity-based habits stick more stubbornly than behavior-only goals. He practices aloud. I am the kind of person who takes a 10-minute walk after lunch and says it with surprising conviction, as if this new identity fits like a comfortable sweater. This trick is sneaky and delightful. You become the person by doing the things that person would do, even if they're mini actions. I like to tell Alex that failures are just inconvenient but useful data points, not a verdict on his worth, just information on what didn't work. He mimes writing data on a giant clipboard with exaggerated seriousness, the sort of play acting that makes the idea memorable and slightly ridiculous. Reframing like this turns shame into curiosity, which is a much more productive emotion unless you're being attacked by a very polite raccoon. I convince Alex to treat restarts as experiments. Try a tweak for a week, observe results, adjust, repeat, rinse and repeat, but without the soap. He designs a tiny experiment involving a 10-minute evening walk for 7 nights and tracks his moods with suspiciously neat check marks. Experiments reduce pressure because the goal becomes learning, not perfect performance, and Alex visibly relaxes at the permission to test rather than succeed forever. I show Alex how to celebrate tiny wins. A quick high five with himself, a sticker on the calendar, a private happy dance that is equal parts silly and effective. He does the private happy dance reluctantly at first, then with growing silliness because dopamine loves rituals and also comedic physicality. Celebrations cement progress into identity, turning "I did that once" into "I do that often enough to deserve a celebratory jig." I suggest a combo: compassion for the self during slip-ups and accountability for action afterward, like a soft glove with a firm handshake. Alex grins because he likes the image of a glove that can both comfort and push, which is weirdly motivating. We set up a gentle accountability check-in, a text to a friend, a note to self, or a tiny ritual that signals commitment without shaming. I ask Alex what he actually values: health, focus, energy, sanity, and then remind him that habits are tools to serve those values, not vice versa. He lists them with theatrical clarity as if reading his own manifesto: less grogginess, more energy, fewer midnight regrets, and I clap politely because dramatic manifests deserve applause. When actions linked to values, restarts feel meaningful, not arbitrary. I hand Alex a handful of short repair scripts to use in the moment, like pocket tools for emotional flat tires. Okay, breathe. This was a hard moment. What one thing moves me forward? He reads them aloud like a sorcerer testing spells, a little skeptical but mostly hopeful, which is already progress. Simple scripts reduce decision fatigue and give you a ready-made path when your brain is smirking at you in chaos. For when you want a more thorough approach, I offer a longer script. I see you. This was hard. I forgive the slip. I will try a small repair action now. Tomorrow is another chance. Alex tries to say it with sincerity and nearly knocks over his coffee in the process because it's emotionally effective and physically awkward all at once. The longer script is great for evenings when the inner critic is loud and you need a proper tidy-up. When the slip feels big, I give Alex a phased script. Validate, that hurt. Contextualize, lots of people struggle with this, and plan, tomorrow I'll do X tiny thing. He practices it like a public speaker practicing their TED Talk, with slightly less hair flipping and more sincerity. Breaking big problems into phased scripts makes them manageable and humane. For when you only have a second, I offer one-liners. Okay, that happened. Next step, and I'm human. Let's try again. Alex likes these because they're short and sound slightly hip, like a motivational tweet that also hugs you. One-liners are useful in the heat of an emotional moment, quick pivots that are impressively low effort. I also give Alex scripts for leaning on others. I had a rough day with my habit. Could you check in tomorrow? And I need a gentle nudge, not criticism. He rehearses sending a text and then anxiously watches his phone like someone waiting for a pizza delivery, blessed with empathy. Asking for support is a skill, and these scripts make it practical and kind. I lay out day 1 for Alex, a tiny, non-negotiable action, 5 minutes of movement or a single page read, something so small it can't be argued with. He picks a 5-minute walk and returns with a triumphant look as if he conquered Everest, which in the context of restarting habits is not an overstatement. Day 1 is about momentum, not intensity, and that feels like a relief to both of us. Day 2 is all about noting what worked and what didn't. Alex writes 2 things in a tiny journal, 1 success and 1 curiosity. He scribbles like a detective with a notepad, occasionally pausing dramatically to stare at the ceiling like some kind of philosophical frog. This simple practice turns emotional fog into actionable feedback. On day 3, we do a focused repair ritual. Pause, label, offer compassion, and take 1 tiny repair action, the same ritual we practiced earlier, now with more choreography. Alex performs it like a practiced ritual, adding silly flair like a tiny bow at the end, because rituals get stronger with personality. By now, he's starting to believe that restarts can be tended, like bonsai trees, not annihilated. Day 4 is habit stacking day. Attach the tiny restart action to a reliable daily cue, such as brushing teeth or morning coffee. Alex places a sticky note on his coffee machine that says, "Walk after coffee," and grins like he's set a tiny and undeniable rule in the universe. Little anchors make habit relaunches less fragile and more built-in. Day 5 asks for 1 social check-in, a text, a buddy walk, or a gentle accountability pact with a friend. Alex texts his pal with a message that is half charm and half plea for help, and the immediate thumbs-up reply gives him a tiny morale boost. Social support multiplies accountability, and it tastes better than solitary guilt. On day 6, we tweak. What felt hard? What felt easy? Alex adjusts the plan slightly, making tomorrow's action even more tempting and less negotiable. He tests a small change and looks relieved when it fits, like trying on pants that actually zip. Iteration is how habits evolve from fragile plans into dependable routines. Day 7 is reflection and repowering. Celebrate the wins, catalog what's learned, and pick a sustainable tiny habit to carry forward. Alex stands with his little 7-day chart and does a ridiculous little pompous bow to no audience but his own developing consistency, which is wonderfully theatrical and oddly satisfying. We seal the week with a plan to repeat the tiny wins because repowering is built on repetition, not perfection. I give Alex a troubleshooting script for future slips. Pause, label, repair, tweak, and keep going. If it happens again, treat it like more data rather than a sign to give up. He nods with the weary optimism of someone who has tried and learned enough to keep trying with better tools. We agree that relapses are not failures. They're feedback loops that get more useful with each pass. I give Alex a short pep talk that he probably needed more than his morning coffee. You're allowed to be imperfect and still become who you want to be. He looks a little teary and a lot embarrassed, which is the exact emotional cocktail of someone shifting gears for the better. I remind him, and you, that kind actions repeated win the long game. I summarize 3 takeaway steps: compassionate self-talk, a quick repair ritual, and micro restarts with identity anchors, tiny, practical, repeatable. Alex writes the 3 on a sticky note and slaps it on his fridge like a tiny manifesto, delightfully dramatic for someone whose manifestos usually consist of grocery lists. Simplicity is the point. Pick these 3 and use them often. I invite Alex, and you, because yes, I'm talking to the screen now, to experiment with these ideas for a week and report back on the tiny changes. He raises an eyebrow like he suspects a quiz, but he's game. So am I, and so should you be. Small, consistent steps are how we rebuild habits, not guilt-laden promises made at 2 a.m. with poor lighting and worse willpower. before we go, I tease Alex about his earlier melodrama, and he mock apologizes, which is about as sincere as a cat returning a loaned pen, charming and inadmissible. We both laugh because a little humor deflates shame and makes the entire process more humane and fun. If the whole thing felt heavy, remember, practice kindness, then practice again, and throw in a ridiculous dance when you hit small milestones. I sign off with a promise to check in next week and remind Alex, and you, that quiet consistency beats dramatic starts most of the time. He waves, looking calmer than when we began, carrying a small stack of sticky notes and a new habit that isn't perfect, but is definitely moving in the right direction. Go practice a tiny repair today. I'll be here cheerfully narrating your minor victories and laughing at your perfectly human melodrama.